Welcome to episode 27 of Followers of the Cross. This is a podcast where I interview Christian authors, musicians, and other creative people. This is your host, Jason Reynolds. Today's interview is with Kent Whitaker of Chattanooga, Tennessee. Kent is the author of the Great American Grilling Cookbook by Great American Publishers. Great American Grilling has mouth-watering photos and recipes about all sorts of food you can grill. Kent's hot dogs are more than just simple creations. Then there are recipes like Grilled Sea Bass Fillets with garlic red potatoes. This is taking grilling and tailgating to a whole new level. I'll let Kent tell you more.
Kent, tell me about Great American Grilling, the cookbook that you have out now, and a little bit about what went into the process of making that.
Well, a long time ago, several years ago, I won the Food Network and Rely barbecue contest. And after that, I put out a book through my editor, publisher, Sheila Simmons, contacted me and wanted to do a barbecue cookbook, and we did that, and that was several years ago, Smoking the Mountains, the Art of Appalachian Barbecue. And then started doing some other books, a series called the Hometown Cookbook Series with Sheila and Great American Publishing.
Yeah. One
specific to Tennessee, one specific to Texas, focusing on each of the states. But one of my loves, besides hometown cooking and recipe gathering from friends and family, which is kind of the history basis of all these books, is grilling and barbecuing and hanging out in the backyard with family and friends. And I'm also a history buff, so I picked up massive amounts of what my wife calls a cornucopia of useless information that's interesting about grilling and fun stuff. And if somebody asks me a question, or who was the first president to grill out, or how did they grill out on a battleship? Those are things that I find interesting. So Great American Grilling kind of came from that love my dad inspired me with, or, instilled in me for outdoor cooking, and my love for spending quality time like that with family and friends, including the tailgate and all that stuff. That having all this information and fun stuff, I thought it would be a pretty cool idea to kind of combine this all in a book. So all my books are packed with history. Every recipe that somebody gives to me to include in a book, I give them full credit and include the backstory of why that recipe was important to them. So that goes into Great American Grilling, including a whole bunch of sidebar information with tasty tidbits of useless information. It's worth reading.
But now your wife can't quite call that useless information, since you are selling that information now.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's not something you're going to, during debate season and the presidential election, why would you feel the need to bring up why hot dogs are made that way, or who invented the hamburger? Just throw the conversation off. Yep. It's fun stuff. Everything in there is fun. It's not your normal cookbook. There's recipes. Pages are kind of askew. There's all kinds of interesting background material, crazy pictures, graphics, and it's just fun stuff.
Yeah, that's one thing I love about. I have several cookbooks now from Great American Publishers, and that's one of the things I love about their different series, the fact that you have either like geography or history, or both, in addition to the food.
Well, when Sheila and I first hooked up after the Food Network thing, and she asked me to do a book, I said yes, but I had a caveat, was I don't want to do recipe page, just, I need flashing things to keep my attention, I guess, is the best way to say it. And I know a lot of people are like that, and I think my style of cookbook writing is geared towards that. It's not something that's boring. It's aesthetically cool looking. They're fun. They're packed with history. Like the State by State series, every state we've done, we've also included a list of food-related festivals.
I like that one
every other page has kind of a neat place to visit while you're in West Virginia or South Carolina. You know, it's fun. I think I call it a culinary slice of culinary history, one state at a time. And I think when you give readers some background information on a recipe, like why they thought Grandma's apple pie recipe was so awesome, and you include that in there, then it becomes more than just a recipe for apple pie. It becomes a story, and it becomes an heirloom, and it becomes, when somebody tries that recipe and they ask, well, where'd you get the recipe? And, oh, let me tell you about this. This lady said this was, you know, so that bit of information gets passed along, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, and so that brings me to another thing. You mentioning it being part of a story process. Tell me a little bit about your background in journalism.
Well, I went to Middle Tennessee State, and always worked radio stations, TV, worked in high school in Nashville. I worked at WSM radio as through the Explorers, you know, the after the other version of the Boy Scouts Explorers Post, and that led to working newspaper, worked at the Daily News Journal in Murfreesboro for a while, and ended up at the Free Press in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and owned my own golf newspaper for a while.
Oh, okay.
And it's called Tri-State Golf News, and always been into history buff and writing, and kind of a journalism junkie, and just kind of all of that comes together. All of that is the basis for these books: a love of food and a good story. You know, that's the kind of the whole background of all of it.
Yeah. So what is one of your favorite recipes in Great American Grilling?
Oh, it's easy. That's my grilled pound cake recipe.
Grilled pound cake.
Yeah, it's you grill up get some nice. You can use homemade, or you can use a store-bought pound cake. Grill it, cut it in slices, butter it up, put it on a nicely grilled grate, or use a grilling basket. Get it nice and toasted with golden edges. Top it off with some ice cream, strawberries, a little bit of drizzle, either some chocolate or strawberry syrup on that thing. Go to town, baby. That's some goodies.
That does sound good. I'll say one of them that caught my interest, too, was a hamburger that with craft beer in it, and I think the sauce had some craft beer in it also.
I like, I hate to say it, I'll probably get attacked for this, but I'm a traditional beer guy. I like, well, now that I'm over 50, I've had to switch from my standard, which was Pabst Blue Ribbon, because it's kind of a throwback to my grandfather, I guess. I don't know. I always drank that, but nowadays it's doesn't burn off as quick, so I'm more into the light 55s or 64 calorie beers. I tell you, a good craft beer is a great flavor maker. You can use it as an ingredient. You can use it as a marinade. You know, if you find something you like with some infused taste, a specialty, you know, a lot of the craft brewers, they go with the season, so the flavors change, and that little bit of flavor is a great addition to all kinds of different recipes.
Yeah, and what kind of beer was that? Slayer maker?
No, it's a great flavor maker. If you
flavor maker. Okay.
Yeah. If you find, say, a citrus infused ale, and you think, man, that's my new favorite beer, well, use some of that as a base for barbecue sauce, or use some of that as a marinade, you know. And bring that into a recipe, and if you like that flavor, then why not add that to an ingredient to one of your recipes?
Okay. It sounds great. And there are recipes in here I wouldn't necessarily think, okay, tailgate cookout, or having the guys over top recipes. I mean, there's some of that, yes, but there's also things like ginger, lemon, Thai, pork chops with plum sauce.
Yeah, we kind of. The idea was to incorporate as many styles as we could, because tailgating these days has gone so far beyond a hot dog and a bag of chips. You know, there's people pulling up mobile kitchens and campers and stuff. And my thing is you can still have a great tailgate even if you don't have all that stuff. You can prep a lot of these dishes at home and just reheat them. You know, you can make all the stuff, sauces, and do all the prep work and everything else at the house before you get out there. But if you've got your camper with your team logo painted on the side, have at it, bring it out, have a good time. But you don't have to have all that expensive stuff to take some good dinners out there, some good eats, some great food to impress people with.
Speaking of big cookouts and putting the Ritz on, the Jack Daniel's barbecue cook-off, I believe, is going to be this weekend. The weekend that we're here talking with each other. Of course, This podcast will be out for a long time after that. But have you ever been to that event?
Yes, been to the Jack Daniel's one a couple of years. Gosh, I guess it's been about 10 years ago. Maybe that long. Yeah, it's been a while. I tell you, one of my favorites, my wife, Allie, and I love going to the Cornbread Festival in South Pittsburgh. That's become one of our favorite things.
That's a good one. I haven't been in a long time to it, but yeah.
Yeah, it's turned into quite the elbow pack situation. It's turned into a big thing.
It's a good one. It's at a kind of a difficult time because that's right around the time of my anniversary. So the wife.
Yeah, you got to do the anniversary stuff. Yep. Unless you plan an anniversary as a weekend trip to South Pittsburgh for the Cornbread Festival.
Yeah, that might be coming down the road sometime.
There you go.
Honey, honey, I have a trip planned for us. Yep.
Give her a cast iron lodge skillet with a bow around it and say, "Guess where we're going?" You can. I got us tickets. So work it in, make it a big deal.
That's a good idea there.
Probably don't need to take my advice on that one, but it's still it's a great festival to go to.
Yep. Well, Kent, tell me about, I believe you are known as the Deck Chef, and I took a glance at your website. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
That's a nickname I've had for years. Some of my friends started pinning that on me, and it just kind of stuck. And during the internet boom, when you could first start registering your websites and stuff, when people gave out a web address, instead of just saying thedeckchef.com, they would go HTTP, the / and that's how long ago this has been. But I got online and registered that name, and just kind of been my nickname for a long time. I've also my other nickname is Cornbread. I carried that one around for a long time. So, I'm proud to say that most of the nicknames I've had have been very respectable stuff you can say on the radio, on a podcast, and often related to food. So that's good.
Awesome. Well, Kent, that's about all that I have, but do you have anything else that hasn't been mentioned yet you'd like to say? Or do you have other projects?
Yeah, I'd love for people to visit my website, thedeckchef.com, and check out Great American Grilling. And I've also got a couple other books out. I think I'm up to 14 titles. There's a couple of kids' books, a few history books, one on USS Alabama, the Tailgating Super Speedway book, and all that stuff. But the cooking and the recipe collection is just very important to me, and I encourage anybody to talk to their relatives, their older relatives, and if you've got a favorite dish that somebody makes in your family, go cook it with them. Go have a good time, have a great conversation, and make sure that you capture that bit of your family's history. Because I guarantee you, if you're in the kitchen with a great aunt or grandmother or somebody, or your mom or dad, and you're just sitting there cooking and talking about that food, then that conversation is going to go to, remember the time we did this, or how about this, and that you're going to not only get a great recipe and preserve it, but you're going to have a wonderful conversation. So I encourage everybody to start, holding on to those memories, because in this day and age of internet stuff, and believe me, I make full use of the internet, but